Remind me later. That's it. That's the episode. I'm kidding. Welcome back, creative. Okay, you should know exactly what I'm talking about. You've clicked that button probably today, possibly while this was loading. There's a software update sitting on your device right now, maybe 2, maybe 14, and you have made a conscious decision repeatedly not to deal with it. So let's talk about that. The honest reason you don't update, it's not laziness. Well, it's not only laziness, it's timing. The updates always arrive at the worst possible moment. Never on a slow Sunday afternoon when you're bored and your charger is nearby. Always at probably 8:58. Around that time when your laptop is the only thing between you and a meeting you're already underprepared for. And even when the timing is fine, even when you have the time, you still don't do it because updates have a reputation, a track record, and you've been burned before. I know I have. The iOS updates that wrecked your battery, the Windows updates that froze your machine at startup, the app that looked completely different after an update. This I have experienced time and time again. Same name, same icon, completely rearranged, and you had to relearn something you've been doing automatically for about 2 years. That muscle memory violation is real. It's not trivial. When a tool becomes invincible, when you're using it without thinking, that is a sign you've truly mastered it. Updates can reset that, and that's what's genuinely frustrating. So you wait, you delay, you click remind me later until the notification becomes background noise. But here's what's also true. Most of that fear, it's not proportional to the actual risk of updating. It's proportional to the memory of the one time it went wrong. We're wired that way. One bad experience with an update outweighs 20 smooth ones. The brain files update under potential disruption and treats every future prompt like a threat. And we do not like threats or disruptions. Meanwhile, and we'll get to this, the actual threat is often not updating. So we can ask ourselves, what are actually in this update? Let's be clear about something. Not all updates are the same. There are roughly about 3 kinds: feature updates, performance updates, and security patches. So feature updates are the new tools, redesigned interfaces, things the product team is excited about and you may or may not care about. This is the category that moves things around. Your buttons rearranged. There's performance updates. This involves faster load times, fewer crashes, background improvements, and all this you might never really notice until you are on the old version and everything feels sluggish by comparison. And then there's the one that actually matters, the security patches. This is the category that rarely gets the headline. It's not exciting, there's no demo video attached, but it is the reason security professionals, people who spend their entire time and career about what can go wrong with a software, always updates the moment a patch drops. Every time, no exceptions. And here's why. Software has vulnerabilities. All of it. Every single software has vulnerabilities. Not because the developers are careless, but because software is extraordinarily complex, and complexity creates gaps. Attackers find the gaps and exploit them. That's how it works. So when a vulnerability is discovered, there's a race. The company works to patch it, attackers work to exploit it before the patch reaches the users. So the moment a patch is released, that vulnerability becomes public knowledge because there are patch notes attached, and if they're releasing it to a lot of users, meaning this patch note follows. So security researchers analyze them, and so do people looking to do the harm, to exploit this gap. They reverse engineer exactly what was fixed, which tells them exactly where the old vulnerability was. So if you're running the old version after a security patch has been released, you're not just unprotected. You're the target with a map attached. So true story, you can check this out. The WannaCry attack in 2017 infected over 200,000 systems across 150 countries. Hospitals, banks, telecom companies. It exploited a Windows vulnerability that Microsoft had already patched 2 months earlier. The machines that got hit were simply running old versions. 2 months, the patch existed, people hadn't installed it. Now, most of us are not hospitals running critical infrastructure, but the same principle applies at every scale. Your email, your banking app, your phone, if there's a known vulnerability in the software running those things and the patch is available and you haven't installed it, that's a gap, and gaps get found. So, here's what nobody talks about, the company side of updates. Not every update is for you. Some updates are for the company, new data collection, changed terms, removed features that weren't profitable, deprecated tools that got replaced with something that serves the business model better. Now, this comes wrapped in the same packaging as the security patches and the bug fixes, same notification, same install button. And we all agree to it because the alternative, staying on the old version, eventually means your software stops working, your apps become incompatible, and the world will quietly move on without you. Don't let that happen. Okay, back. It's not a conspiracy, it's just how the incentives are structured. Companies need you on the latest version so they can support one code base, not 14. So they make older versions progressively less viable. The update is inevitable. The only question is when. And that question is for you. So knowing this doesn't mean you're powerless. It means you can be intentional. Read the update notes. Boring. Yes, I don't enjoy reading them. But are they useful? Occasionally, very much so. Yes, they are. At minimum, you'll know what changed before it changes on you, right? You're not surprised. And once in a while, you'll catch something worth paying attention to. A permission change, a new default setting, something that affects how your data is being handled. You can't opt out of these updates entirely because they affect your system, but you can choose not to be passive about them. Which brings me to why we always give in anyway. So with all this resistance, all the remind me later energy, why do we always eventually update? Because the cost of not updating compounds. It starts subtle, a slightly slower load time, an app that crashes occasionally, a feature that stops working, and then one day someone sends you a file and your software can't open it, or an app stops supporting your OS version completely. Or worst case, something gets into your system through a vulnerability that has been patched for 8 months. At some point, staying put costs more than moving forward. And that's true in almost every area of life, not just software. We hold on to what's familiar until the familiar stops working, and then we update. The difference with software is that someone else built the update and you don't get to review the design decisions. That loss of control is real. The frustration is also legitimate, but the update is still what's installing. So here's the practical version of everything we just talked about. When it comes to security updates, install them quickly. Don't wait. The window between a patch being released and attackers targeting unpatched system is getting shorter every year. Now, the feature updates. Give yourself a day or two if you want, but read the notes and don't avoid them indefinitely. The discomfort is temporary. The muscle memory would come back faster than you think. Now, there's the settings, the performance. So after major updates, you want to spend a few minutes checking your privacy and permissions settings. Things reset, defaults change, and it's worth checking. So, your device right now has probably been asking you for something you've been ignoring. It might be more important than you think it is. So, this episode I'd like to call an update is available. See you in the next episode. Please like, comment, share. Let me hear your thoughts and please update your device. Bye.